G'day, mate, and how the bloody hell are you? Welcome to In the Back of My Head podcast, episode 72. It's a weekly creative journal / podcast where I ramble on about creativity, whatever's in the back of my head, try and make some sense of it. Try and make some sense of the noise, try and make some sense of the static. And if you get anything out of it, if it helps you feel more at ease with yourself, or more forward thinking when it comes to your creativity, bloody-tastic. That's awesome. And if not, don't worry about it. Move on, mate. Pick something else. There's endless, almost nigh infinite things to be watching instead of my dumb face or my silly little voice. But if you enjoy it, thank you so much. I speak so much about the ocean of content, but I usually am referring to it in sense of the amount of music that's uploaded every single day, the amount of art that's put out every single day, but also the amount of goddamn YouTube videos doing exactly what I'm doing, as in I am chasing the trend. I've noticed over the past, I think maybe a year, that everyone and everyone's mum has a little creativity podcast, a little creativity YouTube channel, a little same thing what I do, you know? Just ramble into a mic about creativity for about 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, who knows? Some are more pointed, some are more scripted, some are far better, most are far better. And there's the little fish, like me, nothing but krill, mate. Nothing but plankton, that's all I am. And then there's the big fish, the whales, the ones that are leading us into a brighter future perhaps, the ones who have been doing it for a long time, ones who actually have credentials, I tell you. That would make a big deal. Ones who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm really not selling myself very well. Someone like Adam Savage, who's my go-to. The way he speaks about creativity has really changed the way I think. Really made me fall in love with creativity far more than I already was. It's a bloody beautiful thing. Speaking about like the theory, or speaking about the philosophy almost, behind making stuff, behind being a creative in general, makes me very happy. It's my favorite thing to do with other people. It's my favorite thing to do on this podcast. I've even bloody made a job out of it, funnily enough. I even mentor young people in how to make music, but really it's actually just how to have enough confidence to make anything at all. I do that through a school, and it's bloody amazing to see people gain confidence in being a creative, but more than just being themselves, is absolutely the most heartwarming and rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. It's the same thing why I enjoy running poetry nights, because they do the same thing. People find their voice on stage. With eyes looking back at them, they feel seen, they feel validated, they've got given a reason to actually exist, they got given permission to exist. Isn't that a beautiful thing? We should all give ourselves permission to exist, but sometimes, you know, being social creatures, you need it from other people. I get it. As someone who posts fucking far too often on the internet, I totally get it. But when watching these channels such as mine or anyone else, we have a habit, we tend to, and I'm sure I do it. I know I do it with my titles. I present my information, which is really just ramblings out of my brain box, as truths, as almost a universal truth that I have arrived at, that I've conjured up, or that has been revealed to me through thinking, through drinking, through slinking in the background of beer gardens with my mates, sipping on a pint, having a chinwag, and then suddenly, poof, I understand how it works now. How life works. Brilliant. Let me tell people. Let me tell someone. Of course, giving advice, which in a sense this podcast is doing, you want to sound correct. Not for them though. Not for the other people, but for yourself. You want to sound like you really know what the fuck's up. You want to sound like you really know what you're doing. Everyone wants to sound like they know what they're doing. Everyone presents themselves as they know what they're doing. No one knows what they're doing though. I think it's the biggest relief, the biggest sense of relief you can possibly experience sometimes is When someone you really admire, and I'm not speaking about myself, I'm speaking about actual, working creatives, actual people who are really fucking doing it, people who are out there living their best life according to what they've presented to you. And then they say, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just bloody winging it. Every day I'll wake up and go, what? What am I doing? What is any of this? How does any of this work? I don't know how to draw, and yet I'm an illustrator. I don't know how to make music, and yet I command a full orchestra from the orchestra pit. Can you imagine? Well, it could all just be self-deprecation. It could all be, self-denial. It could all be a lack of strong ego. It's certainly imposter syndrome. And as an example of actually that exact scenario is, again, to reference Adam Savage. Adam Savage has a segment from his live stream that got clipped and put on YouTube, a little YouTube video talking about just that. Adam Savage from Mythbusters fame has worked at ILM and other places I should know off the top of my head, but nonetheless, he worked on Star Wars, goddammit. He worked on Star Wars Episode 2. Unbelievable. And yet he still feels like, I don't really know what I'm doing though. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of winging it. Why am I here? Why am I the one that people have chosen to employ? We all absolutely feel imposter syndrome. And I feel it constantly. And it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell when you're being irrational because you're just down on yourself, and when you're being very rational because you haven't actually done your practice, because you actually aren't as good as you should be. I feel that one a lot, but I don't know, I could just be really down on myself. But it's certainly true in certain circumstances. I had actually a circumstance recently where I was making music with a mate while I was attempting to, and I just floundered so much. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I realized that, mate, I can play the bass, I really enjoy playing the bass, within a very certain set of parameters. When somebody else is giving me a thing, when somebody else has the foundation and they just need a little bass line, I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, baby, I can do that. Outside of that, creating from scratch, I'm not that good at it. And I think that's more just about comfortability. I think it's more just that I work in very certain circumstances. I prefer working with my mates who I've already worked with a little bit. It takes a little bit of time to get used to that experience, used to that format, used to that group. And then beyond that, working by myself, I have my space. I have my space that I have curated very carefully so that I can work at exactly the pace and exactly the way that I like to create. And that's how I managed to actually make anything, is because I've been very carefully setting my workspace up properly over quite a number of years now and figuring out what to do. And in that moment I was like, oh man, I know how to make my music. I don't know how to make music though. I'm not a musician. I just know how to make my thing. I do genuinely believe that you should learn music theory. If you want to be a musician, obviously. If you don't want to do that, then that would be a waste of time. If you want to be a musician, then you should absolutely learn as much music theory as possible. It would be the most beneficial thing for you to learn jazz theory or classical theory. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Jazz theory would probably be the way to go, given, for the majority of music stylings that I imagine most people want to make. Learn that. Learn your scales. Practice that shit. Practice every day. Really. Practice as if you're going to be a jazz musician. And then dial it back to what you actually want to do. That would be the way to go. Really. That would be the way to go. You could also absolutely kill every sense of excitement for making music. Absolutely. And that's me. That's 100% me. I keep trying, and I'm slowly getting better at every little thing that I do. Slowly getting a little bit better every single day at every little thing that I do. But it is slowly, because I don't practice my foundational elements that much. I should. But then you hear people say the Beatles didn't know how to read sheet music. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Obviously it doesn't matter. Because they were already successful. Because they were already famous. If the Beatles were floundering, if the Beatles were just still trying after so many years and getting nowhere, then it would be a different story. Then you might start to think of reasons why. Oh yeah, but they should probably learn some shit. I assume they knew enough theory to get by. Obviously they did. And that's kind of the overall theme of this episode that I wanted to talk about, is these dualities. Is that everything is framed mostly in retrospect. So if I tell you anything, or if you see anything online, it's good to take it in and to actually listen to it from people who know what they're talking about. And I'm not saying that's for me. I'll say this. I'll say this about what I can do. What I do really well is just do stuff. If you're tripping up on the first step of just making shit, then listening to me actually might be some help. I might actually be able to help you with that. Anything further than the starting line, you might want to talk to somebody else. But then everything else is framed as this is what works. I think we experience that a lot in school. I certainly experienced that a lot in school, and I assume most people who listen to me, who are my mates, experienced it as well. Is that the path forward to learn a skill, to learn whatever you want to learn, is usually forged in reverse by the way it was already done that was successful, which makes perfect logical sense to me. Except that if that path isn't working for me, then what the fuck do I do? You feel like you're a failure. And it's also not a guarantee, just because it worked once, that it's going to work again. And I'm speaking only about creative skill sets and stuff like that. Writing, painting, music, what have you. I'm not talking about rocket science. There's different... I'm not talking about being a doctor. Though, in the same sense, there are different ways that the brain can tackle a similar problem and arrive at different results. And so perhaps if you learn exclusively how to be a doctor from a Western medical lens, well, maybe then you are tunnel visioned to a degree. But then people's lives are at risk, so I don't know what I'm talking about with that. That's just a thing that came to my brain. I don't know. Doctors should learn their shit, but I don't like anything that's framed, especially on YouTube, especially by people who are just putting this out, willy-nilly, without much forethought, much like myself. I don't like anything being framed as a truth. I don't like anything being framed as, do this and you will succeed. I think in the current movement of content around creativity, around this topic, is less of an issue from what I've seen. I think most people are generally pretty good at just saying, this is what's worked for me, it might work for you. If it doesn't work for you, go somewhere else. You'll find it, you'll figure it out over time. I think it's pretty good at the moment. One area where it's really fucking bad is the social media marketing side of tutorials. I mean, I hate them anyway. I hate them because I hate social media, and I hate marketing, and I hate everything about it. And I hate the lingo. I hate the way that they speak. I hate the way that they present themselves. Ugh, it makes me sick to my stomach. But especially because they speak in ways that top 10 tips. If you do these things, you will be successful. Here's how you gain 1,000 followers in a day. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all make-believe. It's all nonsense. There are things that you can do that will help you, but to guarantee results is a absolute falsehood. And I really feel that with creativity as well. That there are dualities to every single situation. There are dualities to every single situation, because if it's painted by the successor, then they know what worked for them. That doesn't mean there's no guarantee it's going to work again. And again, I want to say that I'm not ever suggesting don't do the basics. You should if your brain is wired that way. But if your brain's not wired that way, there are other paths. There might be a different path that's never been forged before that is your path. You don't have to do it any particular way. None of this matters. This is fucking art. Who gives a fuck? Doesn't matter at all. If you don't make art, doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. I tell you to make art every goddamn episode. I tell everyone to make art every goddamn day. And if you don't do it, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But I'd like you to be enjoying yourself on this planet, and so if you want to, then you should be doing it. It'll make you happy, it'll give you warm and fuzzy feelings, and it'll make you a better person to be around, because everyone will be like, that guy seems like he's doing something he likes. Hell yeah, I'll cheers to that. Give me 1 second, I'll go stir my beans real quick. Not a euphemism, I've got beans on the stove, mate. One duality that I've talked about extensively on this podcast because it feels like it applies to me a lot because I freak out all the goddamn time is the specialist versus the generalist. That to focus in and become the master of a skill could be considered a guaranteed way of success. Pour in thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, 10,000 hours just to get good, and then another 10,000 before you're even an intermediate, I don't know. Become the best in your field and you'll be guaranteed work. Maybe, I don't know, who knows? Could be all kinds of unlucky reasons why you don't get work. Could be all kinds of unlucky reasons why you don't get an audience. If it's how your brain works, great. But then, on the flip side, you could become a generalist. And people will say, yeah, but you don't do anything particularly good. That's true. But maybe I do everything good enough so I can kind of apply myself to most jobs. And then on the one we need a specialist, we'll call in a specialist. The generalist might get a lot more work. The generalist might have a lot more fans. The generalist might be able to achieve a much larger project because they can do all the bits and pieces. But they'll never be a master. Both have their merits. And it's silly fretting about which one you are in an attempt to succeed. I think you should only be fretting about how you feel about it. Similar duality is one that I kind of freak out about, is that I look at Instagram accounts who are making art and they make the same style every single day. They paint or they draw or what have you in one style, they stick to it, and they become really good at it. And so if anyone wants that exact style, then they come to them. But then you also run into the problem of if someone comes to you and says, can you do a different style? And you go, no, I can only do this one style, but I can do it really well. Then they'll be like, okay, well, fucking see you later then. I'll go find someone else. A generalist. It's the same thing as a generalist. But style is another one that I think I enjoy being able to dance around a little bit. When it comes to music, I like making hip-hop, I like making house music, I like playing psych music, I like writing folk music when the mood takes me. I like being able to jump around a little bit. And with art, I can't really sit still either. I enjoy doing graphic design, I also enjoy kind of doing weird gothic style, cartoony sketches. That's great. And I want to explore all of those as much as possible to get them all kind of good, but not necessarily great. But it means when someone comes up to me and says, hey, can you do this? I can probably give it a crack. But if someone wants an incredible oil painting, no, of course not. No fucking chance. If somebody wants me to draw something with perfect perspective or a perfect portrait of someone, I'm not the guy. I can do a lot of different little things. I can't do anything in particularly that well. Dualities. One or the other. Doesn't matter. Which one works for you, mate? One that came to mind recently. These all came to mind because I was thinking about this. I was brainstorming. I'm going to stop saying that. Here's another one for you. One that I think about. I don't know if other people think about this as much, but I always think that if you think about it, other people are thinking about it too. But you got to put in hard work, that you got to work smarter and rigorously. You got to work to a schedule. Really put the hours in, really keep things tight. It's all well and good. And in fact, it can really help you get over creative humps. I definitely agree with that. However, something that I've been trying to do more recently is just create on a whim. I look at my schedule, I look at my to-do list, and I think, fuck that. I'm not interested. I'm going to draw this one dude that's in my mind. I just really want to pour myself into this thing. I want to get obsessed. I want to lose sense of time. I want to forget that I haven't eaten. I want to forget what time of day it is. I want to forget all things that I was supposed to do. I want to completely obsess on this thing. I want to create solely on a whim. And that, I feel like, is romanticized. That is like, oh, they're just such an artist. Oh, they just create on a whim. They just pour their heart and soul into the page or into the music. That's a beautiful thing. That's the best thing. But then, but they never work to a schedule. They never put the hours in. They're never going to get anywhere because they're too flippant. They're too much of an artist. But then, if you work really rigorously to a schedule, what have you, then you also run the risk of being really robotic, being really cold with your creativity. That I do worry about. I worry about that with myself, especially. I'm trying to go now more the opposite direction. There's always sayings that completely cancel each other out. They get thrown around all the time. I chatted to someone at a cafe I was working at the other day. And I said, yeah, I'm trying to be a creative. I'm trying to be like a working creative. And they said, oh, careful. Whoa, stop there. Stop right there before you touch anything. Be careful turning your passion into your job, because you might resent it. And I thought to myself, who the fuck are you, mate? We've been working together for 20 minutes. Maybe shut up. Maybe you don't know me. That sounds like something that you did. Turned into something you didn't want to do anymore. And maybe you've got some thoughts about that. Fair enough. Very valid thoughts. But then there's another saying, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. People say that as well. You say, I don't know what I want to do. They say, well, find something that you love. I hate working. Find something you love then, and it won't feel like work anymore. Those are polar opposite to each other. Those are stupid. It's all stupid. There's always a counter saying that we throw around at each other. We just try and rationalize what we're doing. We're all just desperately trying to believe that we know what the fuck we're doing. And hope that others secretly don't know what they're doing just as much as we don't know what we're doing. When we talk about all this stuff, when we talk about creativity, when we talk about top 10 tips on how to increase productivity, we're just like, I hope these work. Or they did work for me. There's no guarantee they're going to work for anyone else. There's certain things, life is just a series of gradients. And obviously the way I'm speaking now as well is to console myself, is to try and make myself think that I'm doing anything remotely correctly. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm saying this. That's why anyone gives advice. That's not entirely true, but again, you can't deal in absolutes, mate. You can't deal in absolutes. Only Sith deal in absolutes, you can't. The Beatles didn't know how to read sheet music. But you should also know every rule before you break it. You don't need to know theory, but you bloody well should before you just ignore it. The point of all this is just to say to myself, this is just saying it to myself. I'm just trying to convince myself to not worry about where I'm going, to not worry about the success, to not worry about having a good plan, to not knowing that I'm doing anything correctly, just that I'm enjoying doing it at all. It's just that I wake up every day and then go, again? Another day? Fuck yeah. I'm down for another day. Let's go. I'm keen, man. I want to drink. I want to watch YouTube. I want to draw. I want to hang out with my mates. I want to have a chinwag. I want to talk some shit. I want to wake up every day and just go, oh yeah, let's go one more time. I want to feel that more with work. I want to feel that more with everything. Anytime I'm stressed still, I just want to feel like, yeah, this is good. This is cool. And so worrying about exactly how you're doing it. Is it working towards a success? Is it working towards a brighter future? Maybe. It's good to self-analyze. It's good to check in with yourself. Good to check the path that you're on, but at the same time, how was your day? Did you have fun? Did you have a good day? I stress and I worry about what I'm doing almost constantly, but at the same time, I wake up every day yearning for more. Yearning more for more of this. This is sick. I'm having a good time. I'm having a real good time. I'm at my calmest potentially I've ever been. Not every day. Some days my stomach is doing backflips. But overall, I'm happier than I've ever been. And I think it's just committing myself, not to a particular path in creativity, but it's just committing to enjoying every element of this creative life. Join me, mate. Have a good day. Have a good day, mate. That's it for this episode. Did any of that make sense? Don't worry about any of it. Just hang out. Hang out. Humans are just supposed to be hanging out. We're not supposed to be doing all this shit. This is a lot. We're doing way more than we were ever supposed to do. We're supposed to just hang out. So just hang out, mate. Do what you want to do. Be what you want to be. Yeah, but just hang out. And just enjoy it. Just have a good bloody time. Hope you're doing well. If you enjoyed this, give it a like and a comment, mate. Give me a subscribe if you haven't. Comment. For the love of God, comment. Share it. Share any clips that you see. Help me build a little audience. Buy me a pint next time you see me in a pub. Be well, mate. I love you very much. Have a good day.